There was a map in the old town library that showed a place that didn't exist. It was kept inside a glass cabinet behind the librarian's desk. The map was more than 100 years old. It showed the roads, rivers, and forests surrounding the town. But in the middle of the forest, there was a small golden circle, and beside it were 3 words, the quiet place. No road led there. No house was marked on the map. No one in town had ever heard of it, until one autumn evening, a young man named Daniel found the map. He had gone to the library because the rain had canceled his plans for the night. While waiting for the storm to pass, he noticed the old cabinet. "What's that?" he asked the librarian. She looked at the map. "Oh, that," she smiled. "People have been wondering about that place for generations. Has anyone found it?" The librarian shook her head. "Not that I know of." Daniel looked at the golden circle. For some reason, he couldn't stop thinking about it. The rain stopped an hour later. Instead of returning to his hotel, Daniel took a flashlight and followed the old forest road shown on the map. The road became a narrow trail. Then the trail disappeared beneath fallen leaves. Daniel almost turned back, but then he noticed something. A small wooden marker stood between 2 trees. There was no writing on it, only a tiny golden circle, the same circle from the map. Daniel followed the marker. The forest became quieter. The wind disappeared. Even the sounds of distant traffic seemed to fade away. Then he reached a small clearing, and there it was, the quiet place. It wasn't a building. It wasn't a hidden village. It was simply a meadow surrounded by tall trees. In the middle stood an old wooden bench. Beside the bench was a small stone fountain. Water flowed gently over the stones. Daniel sat down. For several minutes, he didn't move. There was no phone signal, no traffic, no voices, only water, leaves, and the soft sound of the night. Then Daniel noticed another small sign attached to the bench. It said, "You don't have to find your way tonight." He read the sentence twice, and suddenly, he understood why the place had been hidden. It wasn't meant to be discovered by everyone. It was meant to be found by people who needed somewhere quiet. Daniel leaned back. He thought about the things waiting for him. Messages he hadn't answered, decisions he hadn't made, plans for next week, problems he couldn't solve tonight. For once, he allowed all of them to wait. The fountain continued flowing. A cool autumn breeze moved through the trees. Above the meadow, the clouds slowly opened. Stars appeared between the branches. Daniel closed his eyes. He stayed there until the night felt completely still. When he finally stood up, he noticed something strange. The golden circle on the wooden marker was gone. The trail looked different too. Daniel walked back through the forest. After a few minutes, he found the main road. The next morning, he returned to the library. The old map was still inside the glass cabinet, but the golden circle was gone. There was only blank paper where it had been. Daniel looked at the librarian. She smiled. "You found it, didn't you?" Daniel nodded. "Why didn't you tell me?" She looked out the window. "Because the quiet place doesn't appear when someone is looking for an adventure." She paused. "It appears when someone needs to rest." Daniel smiled. Years later, people in the town would sometimes talk about the old map. Some believed the place had never existed. Others believed it was still somewhere deep in the forest. But Daniel never tried to find it again. He didn't need to, because he had learned something there. Sometimes peace isn't something we discover. Sometimes it's something we finally allow ourselves to feel. So tonight, you don't need to solve everything. You don't need to plan tomorrow. You don't need to carry yesterday. Let those things wait. For now, just breathe, listen to the quiet, and remember you are allowed to rest. Good night. Sleep peacefully.